Hi, my name is Ben. You're watching Image Talk. This video is meant for English beginners. Today, I will talk about 5 images. 5 images. If you need, there are subtitles available, or the entire transcript is on my website, benslanguagelab.com. All you need to do is watch, listen, and enjoy. Let's start with this image. This is a picture of a skeleton sitting in a pool of water. Here he is, this is the water. And he's sitting in the pool of water, playing the guitar, and smoking a cigarette. He is very relaxed. Right? He's not worried about anything. And he's got the guitar in his hand, and he's got his cigarette lit, and he's wearing jeans, right? Jeans are this kind of his pants, right? I also have jeans. They're this kind of pants that you wear. And he's sitting in some kind of pond or lake or something. This is water. Right, we can tell that this is some sort of liquid or water that he's sitting in. And there are trees. There are big trees growing out of the water. And we can see the trees have branches with leaves. Right, these are all leaves. And there are branches coming off of the trees. And we can also see that it's nighttime. It's dark outside. It's black up here. It's dark, and we can see all of the stars. These are stars, and there's a lot of them. There's tons of stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's more. There's a million stars out there. And I think he looks like he's having a nice time. It looks like he's relaxed, playing the guitar, smoking his cigarette, and just sitting there, existing. However, we know it's not a real person. This is a skeleton. Your skeleton is inside your skin, right? Under all of this skin that you have, there's bones, right? This is his. These are his bones. Here's his hand, his arm, his forearm. This is your forearm. There's his ribs up here. Right, you have ribs all in your the front of your chest here. His neck is also bones, right? He's got all these different bones that make up his skeleton. And so, yeah, this picture is of a skeleton sitting in a lake, enjoying his guitar and his cigarette. Let's look at the next image. This is a very different picture. This looks like to be a living room. A very simple living room. We see some chairs around a table, right? This is the table. And there's, this is sort of a runner, right? It's this rug thing. This piece we'd call a runner because a tablecloth goes over the entire table, right? So this would be a tablecloth. Maybe it comes off the side here a little bit. Right? That would be a tablecloth covering the table. But this doesn't cover the table. This only covers a small section of the table here. And so we'd call it a runner because it runs across the table, right? You can sort of imagine it. If somebody had to lay it out, right, they would have to run across the table and they'd put the cloth on there. In the middle of the table, we see a candle that's a lit. There's a little fire in there. It's a lit candle, and we see a little plant with something in it. I don't really know what it is. Above the table, we have a light, right, so that it shines light down on the table so that people can eat and see what's happening. On the wall, we see some artwork. There's 3 different pictures, 1, 2, 3, and these 2 are in line with each other, right? That means they're at the same level. Right? That's one straight line. That's one straight line. But this one is not in line because we have to go down. So they're uneven. Even, uneven, even, uneven, right? We also see that this wall is sort of normal. It's like made of wood or something like that, but this wall is made of brick, right? We can see that there's these little brick lines in here. They're painted, right? So it's white still, so it matches. They're the same color, but this is of brick because we can see outside. Here's the window, right? This is the window on the wall. And there's even some sort of couch down here to sit on with another plant. Oops. And so this looks like it might be inside of an apartment, right? A house is like this, right? You have your house, the door, there's some windows or whatever. And you can, that's just a house. But an apartment might be in a building, right? There's a big building, there's an entrance door, and then there's a bunch of different levels. And so there can be 1 apartment, 2 apartments, 3 apartments, 4 apartments. I live in an apartment. So there's actually lots of different homes or houses inside of one big building. And I guess this because of the brick and the view outside, and we can see more brick out there. And so it looks a little bit more like it would be an apartment. So that's just a guess, though. I don't know. Maybe it's not true. Let's go on to the next image and see what's happening there. Ooh, so this is a different kind of picture. This looks more like a drawing, right? And it's in a bit of an older style. It sort of has some Japanese elements, and there's some interesting colors. The first thing I see is this big flower right here in the middle, right? I see this big flower. It draws my attention, right? I want to look at it. I want to look right at the flower because it's the important part of the picture. And the flower has this beautiful pink color, right? This is red. This is blue. So let's see if we can find a pink. Oops. There's like this pink in here, right? This is sort of a pinkish, right? That kind of color, pink. And then there's these green leaves, which are very nice. There's even a rose coming off of it. There's some more down here. And it looks like it's part of this tree, right? So there's this tree coming up, and there's the branches here. And then we see more of these beautiful flowers coming off of it. We also see that there is some other elements, some other parts of the drawing down here. Here we see a house, what looks like, or a building. It's a little hard to see, but right, here's the roof up here. There's another roof. Here's like a wall, and there's another wall. So it looks like a building that you might be able to go inside. And down here, on this side over here, I'm not really sure what this is, but it looks like there's something else down here. It almost looks like a mountain of some kind, or I'm not really sure. Maybe it's just shapes, but that's what it looks like to me. And then up here we can even see some sort of cloud-like things. Clouds are in the sky, right? So outside, up in the air, there you might see white clouds, right? They sort of look like this. This is a cloud. And that's what this sort of looks like here. Kind of looks cloud-like, right? A cloud. That's a D. But I don't really see anything else in this image. I just thought it was an interesting one. Oh, actually, there is this thing up here, which looks to be sort of like Chinese characters or Japanese kanji. And that's a way of writing, right? So we write like this, W-R-I-T-E. These are letters, right? We call these letters. But a character is something like this, right? It's one piece that means something. This is not a character. I made this up. I don't speak Chinese or Japanese, so I'm just drawing stuff. But these are characters of some kind that might mean something, but I don't know. But that's everything that I see in this image. So let's go look at the next image on the list. And this is a picture of Ronaldo. Just kidding. This is Messi. That was a joke. I'm sorry. Ha ha ha. So this is a picture of Messi wearing his jersey, right? We call these jerseys. And he's got blue and white stripes, right? So the white stripe, the blue stripe. And I wanted to talk about this image because there's actually a lot of interesting things going here. This is called a trophy, right? It's a golden trophy. That's this color, right? Gold. It's a gold trophy with a green base, and it has the world on it, or the earth, rather. The earth is this sphere that we live on, right? We live on top of the earth, and they turned the earth into a trophy for if you win. That's because if you win something, for example, in soccer, I believe this is the World Cup trophy. I don't actually really know, but it would be for the World Cup. There's also this part here, which is a logo, right? You might have heard of that before. A logo is for a brand, such as Adidas is a brand. And brands very often will put their logo onto things so that you know who made it or who it's from, something like that. This isn't really a logo. It sort of is. I believe it's for the FIFA, the organization that puts on the World Cup, but I also don't really know. And then we also see some cool tattoos, right? On his arm, there's tattoos. I don't have any tattoos on my arm. I have no tattoos, 0 tattoos. But he does have tattoos. He's got what looks to be a soccer ball or something, and then there's patterns. So something like that. But he has a tattoo on his arm. That's actually all that there is in this image. There's not that much else to talk about. We can look at him smiling, right? He looks very happy. And I'm sure he would be if he has the trophy that has the entire world on it. But yeah, that's this image. Let's go. I think we have one more. I believe this is image number 5 for today. And I wanted to pick this image because it's very different, right? My hair is crazy. Come on now. There we go. And this looks to be a painting, right? Somebody painted it with a paintbrush. This is a pen, but a paintbrush is different, right? You have actual paint that you paint with. And in this painting, it's very dark. It's nighttime. It's not day. This must be the moon, right? The moon is out and it's sending out its light down into this small village or place, right? We see a house, maybe something else back here. And so it looks to be a small place with lots of trees and other bushes, more trees back here. And so it feels like it's very peaceful. A very peaceful place. And we see one person, and they're walking down the path at night, maybe enjoying life, thinking maybe. And we see this tree, again, has branches that come out. And there's a lot of orange leaves on it. All these leaves are kind of orange, and it makes it feel like a different time of the year. It's a little bit greener and a little bit of a different time. I don't really know how else to say it. Inside the house, we see that there's a light on, right? It's somebody's at home and they have the lights on, right? I have the lights on, right? That's a light right there that you can see. And so somebody's home. Maybe they're reading or they're cooking food or they're just talking, something like that. We don't really know. We also see another light is here. And there's also a chimney up here, but there's no smoke. Smoke comes out of the chimney like this. And it means that there's a fire inside. And so this light maybe isn't a fire, maybe it's a candle. Maybe it's like this. Maybe it's a candle on somebody's desk. What else do I see here? I see that this person has a shadow, right? Their shadow is being cast onto the path here. And I wonder where they're going. I don't know. They're going to go down this path, but I don't know where after that. Anyways, That's everything that I have for this episode of Image Talk. I hope that you enjoyed it and maybe learned a few more things. We talked about a couple of different interesting images today. We talked about a skeleton playing the guitar and smoking a cigarette. We talked about a regular dining room inside of an apartment. We talked about this interesting painting or tapestry from maybe Japan or something like that. And we talked about a soccer player and his trophy that he's won. And then we talked about this interesting painting of somebody walking down the road at night with this little house on the side and a light inside of its window. But I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and remember that all the transcripts are on benslanguagelab.com if you need. But I'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye!